Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC News Break. In about 3 hours, Minister of Finance Chris Sinclair will sit down with top trade union officials at government headquarters, making yet another attempt to end the go-slow at the Bridgetown port. Customs officers have been staging this type of industrial action for the past 2 weeks, protesting the distribution of option forms by the Barbados Revenue Authority for them to join that organization. The National Union of Public Workers and the Barbados Workers Union will be represented at today's meeting. Both unions held a joint meeting yesterday afternoon, speaking to customs officers about their concerns. NUPW President Akani McDowell understands that government wants to meet a timeline for the merger, but he explains it's not that simple for customs officers.
It is a hard decision to make, and it should not be treated in a nonchalant way. It should be treated wherever possible with the utmost respect. And that is what we are asking. And going forward, today, hopefully at that meeting, we are going to ask the minister to withdraw those letters so that we can get the process started again. All of the customs officers, including the trade union movement, is concerned about the national interest.
Meanwhile, the finance minister says it would be a lose-lose situation if the go-slow at the port drags on much longer. Speaking ahead of today's meeting, Mr. Sinclair explained the merger is a critical solution to streamlining government's tax collection. He says government can't be more efficient and will not meet its fiscal targets if its biggest tax collector is on the outside of the BRA.
Everybody loses, and that's the thing with these types of problems, because it starts with a small microcosm of a department or set of individuals or whatever the case may be, but the impact becomes global or becomes national, so that ordinary citizens who are not necessarily enjoying to that particular activity for one reason or the other feel the impact of it. And that is what is happening right now.
On another matter, the NUPW is still awaiting an official report identifying the white powdery substance contained in a package delivered to the union's headquarters about 2 weeks ago. The situation led to the facility being isolated and occupants placed in quarantine. President Akani McDowell says he cannot give a confirmation, but there are suggestions about what the substance could be.
The secretary has said to me, verbally that the officers told her that it was an insecticide, but I am yet to receive a report. That is what I want. I like things to be in writing. I am yet to receive a report saying exactly what the substance was.
Mr. McDowell says the NUPW is reopened for business after having undergone industrial cleaning. Well, there's a prediction that the Barbados Water Authority could be debt-free within the next 18 months to 2 years. Agriculture and Water Resource Management Minister Dr. David Estwick made the remarks yesterday during a ceremony for the official handover for the mains in the BWA and Ionics Freshwater Limited mains laying project. He says the entity has embarked on several projects to increase profits, including the BWA and Ionics Freshwater Limited mains replacement and smart meter replacement program. Once achieved, he says workers should reap some of the benefits.
I do not believe that anyone should enter the Barbados Water Authority 50 years ago and still be working for the same salary. It is wrong. As long as those persons would have had training and other types of developments in terms of their human resource development and contribution to the institution, once the institution is in a financial position to reward those persons, they should be rewarded.
Dr. Estwick also supports providing incentives to workers for productivity.
I believe that is a good model to follow. It is a reasonable model because I feel that the Barbados Water Authority is involved in a project and it helps to create opportunities for savings of monies. They should benefit from some of that money as well. And these are the sort of principles that I will stand behind, and I will fight hard to make sure the Barbados Water Authority achieve at some particular point in time.
An assurance from the Finance Minister Chris Sinclair that any interruption to the development of Barbados and its citizens will be short-lived. That was his response to members of Action 2015, an NGO group which is going to top government officials across the Caribbean, demanding that regional administrators put people and planet first when securing development financing.
There is really no easy way to do adjustments. There's no painless way to do adjustments. But our goal has to be, as we do those adjustments, as we try to make our economies more efficient, more productive, and to streamline them, and that, as you have said, and as the card implores, that we put people first, and that we ensure that even if we have to introduce policies that will hurt, that there is a human face to that, and that we ensure as best as we can, given the circumstances, that appropriate resources are allocated to the continued development of our citizens.
The Action 2015 group delivered a box of 400 signed postcards to Mr. Stinkler at his office at government headquarters on Bay Street. Coordinator Kyan Skeet says the cards were signed by Barbadians mainly lobbying for social protection of citizens here and across the region.
This is one of our many activities across the region for the rest of the summer. We will also be having this postcard activity replicated in Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, and Guyana.
In other news now, lawmen continue investigations into the circumstances surrounding the fire which broke out at Jordan's supermarket on Baxter's Road last night. From initial reports, CBC understands that an unidentified person allegedly entered the building and set fire to items on one of the shelves. It was a scare for shoppers at the city business, but luckily there was no major damage. Only a few items were reportedly burnt and a wall in the city business partially scorched as staff took matters into their own hands using fire extinguishers to put out the blaze. Fire officials got the call just after 7 last night, responding with 2 tenders and 7 officers under the command of Sub-Officer John Bowen. When the team arrived on the scene, the situation was reportedly under control. The acting deputy principal nursing officer at the psychiatric hospital, Sandra Barrow, says staff at the mental institution are often victims of discrimination from members of the public. She was speaking during a presentation for nurses at the Barbados Public Workers Credit Union.
It would appear to me as though persons label you when you work at the psychiatric hospital. Even the staff complain that they get labels and things like, don't mind them down there, all of them bad. So staff live with the label too.
Ms. Barrow admits, however, that the discrimination levels are not as high as before. She believes educating the society is a step in the right direction.
I must say, though, it is not as bad as before because persons now are becoming more educated to mental health, and therefore you're finding that it's becoming more acceptable in terms of nursing care and in terms of having to look out for patients and dealing with them in the community. You find a more kinder approach, a softer approach, I should say.
Time for a break now, but when we come back, we'll have news from the region and further afield. Stay with us.